So, welcome to Lead the Way, Training the Trainer with Deborah Ford. And Deborah has been many things in our profession, but right now she is the implementation and training specialist with teachingbooks.net, excuse me, which is one of our databases now from the state, so everybody has it, even if you have no budget at all. Hooray. But her focus is on California, and as many of you may already know, she has been a teacher librarian. She spent, I can't remember how many years, with Junior Library Guild. She also does full-day workshops with BER.org. She does lots of what's new in books, children K-12, and you can get her at Deb, and I think she's got it up there, Deb at teachingbooks.net. But she is going to make you the champions to go back to your schools, your districts, and show everybody else how to use teaching books.
Thank you, Miss Ellie.
Did I forget anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And please remember, if you haven't already, silence your cell phones.
All right, so thank you once again for rising so early, and welcome to the CSLA Morning Show. Today we're going to talk about how to empower the people in your district, your community, wherever you are. No matter what your job classification is, you are now the missionary. And I want you to take what you've heard this weekend and go back and save your people. So that's what this session is all about. Whoops. And that was the end of it. See, that was so fast. So let me scooch to the front and we'll go again. So I think we're going to talk about 4 steps today about how to do what I do. So really what I'm trying to teach you to do is be my little minions. This is, if you always wanted to be me, this is that class. So in my head, every time I go somewhere, I think, what have I got to say? What do I have to do? Where do I have to be in order to get the word out? And so that's what this session is going to be. So the first thing is the what. What do they have? And so we're going to go through that. So what do they have? So what happened was, just in case you haven't gotten the lowdown, is at almost about this time last year, California was awarded $3 million worth of tax money for a digital toolbox. Sadly, it is the last state to get that. But that's all right now. That's in the rearview mirror. But now we have $3 million worth of online resources because we're in a digital age, because we're trying to have equity, because we want students to have student-led inquiry as from the Common Core and so on, so that, and you can't do that from just Googling. You, especially in a state where the staffing is so lopsided. There's nobody teaching, there's not all the libraries open to teach the children how to use these things, or how to use Google. So instead, we give you a better fish. And so, or a better pond, I guess, to get your fish. And so the California State Library is helping to administer this. Now, part of the problem with this project is that, unlike other states, there's no central portal. In some states, you go to one spot and everybody, it's all there. Like Wisconsin has BadgerLink. And many of those states have cute little name, and it all goes in one place. But in this state, we have consortiums. We have like San Diego County office, and all the schools around San Diego, they buy into that portal, and all their stuff is in that spot. But then you go to another district, and then they've got to find out where is it there. And so that was part of the hardship of this project. And the need for having that, because so many didn't have access to those things. And so this project is supposed to last at least 5 years. In the 4th year, they're going to review the data, and my hope, our challenge, all of us, is to not make it a question. There's no question it should be renewed. And not only that, it should be more, so that you could have Gale, you could have EBSCO, you could maybe, oh, let's buy books for all the schools while we're at it. So all that is part of this project. And so if you are in a place where, and you would be surprised of the people that we've talked to, we call them on the phone and say, we need to help you get set up with the online resources, and they say, no thank you, and they hang up. Because it sounds too good to be true. It feels like a sales call. And so some of you may be in areas where you're not completely set up. Or you may have to lead them to the information of why we have this. And so on the State Library website, you'll see why you ought to be using databases, background on the project. Then, and while I'm here, I'll just talk about it. There are webinar recordings of trainings. There's a newsletter that you can sign up for. And then just recently they've added these buttons on the right-hand side. These can be downloaded and put in the places where you have them in your district, so people will see them. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But that's how the project got started. Teaching Books kind of took the lead to round everybody up and create the forms that districts are doing. But it's also, of course, then one of the products. And I hope that everybody has had a chance to get in there and explore a little bit. But you know that Teaching Books is both curated and newly created materials to literacy. So if your school is doing To Kill a Mockingbird, you can search for the book, and you'll see the table of contents. There's 23 lesson plans. Imagine the look on the face of a brand new teacher just out of college, and you know that I start to say that child, that teacher is already going, ah, and you say, oh, let me help you. And you send them this. There's a book trailer, there's a book reading, there's an author interview, and then you just click share this page and you send that down the hall because you don't have time to get to her classroom, and you've just saved that person. You've saved the elementary teacher who has been using Henry Huggins and the paper route for 50 years because he has the lesson plans, he has the vocabulary, and so you can give him a new book and he can have the author in his classroom at the moment the kids are reading the book. And then the next product is Britannica. And Encyclopedia Britannica is happy birthday to it, because it's 250 years old this year. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I think they know what they're doing. I'm not worried about them going anywhere. So this is their welcome page. They have a whole toolkit. And in the toolkit, they explain what the products are. You have Britannica School, which is elementary, middle, and high, and you also have Spanish. And the beauty of the Spanish is that it was made for native Spanish speakers. It's not a translation. It's not a Google Translate. But it's great for your bilingual students and students learning Spanish, and you can go from one to the other. They also have lots of tutorials available. They have presentations that you can just grab them and show them yourself. But let me just give you a little peek of Britannica. So here's Britannica. Oh, now I gotta log in. Thank you for remembering. So one of the things I love about Britannica is that you can choose your level if you want to, or you could start in middle and do a search for dogs. Excuse me. And I get this article. And then when I get, so this is my middle school article. But then if I want to, I say, oh, that's too hard. So I can click right there. And now I still have the same template but now I'm reading a lower reading level. I can go from elementary, middle, and high once I'm within the article, which is a wonderful thing. But it also has images and videos. It has related websites. It has lesson plans. It has all those things. So that's just a tiny peek at Britannica. And then the third company that you got is ProQuest, and you have 7 products in ProQuest. From Culturegrams, so you don't have to worry about the fact that your states and countries' books are 40 years old. Well, probably not 40 years old. They might be 20 years old, because when we had the Library Act, most of us got rid of those things and bought new ones. So maybe they're 15, 20 years old now. So you can go and look at these brand new, current, updated, everyday articles. Most of the products from ProQuest are for grades 3 and up, but certainly for those of you in middle and high school that are using research with your kids, there's newspaper articles and so many things that will help you. But they also have a help start, a LibGuide for California educators. Oh, and that didn't take me to where I thought it was going to take me to. But they have one. It's what I'll do is I'll send it out on the listserv, and I'll put it in the conference uploads. I'll put all these links out there for you, because that's my job, to make you look good. But so those are the 3 products. Everybody gets them, and there is a single form that your district had to fill out so that it gets IP authenticated. So when you're in a building, even if you haven't created your own account, you have access, boom, and you get there. But Teaching Books in particular is already put in everybody's domain, so you can just jump into Teaching Books anytime you want to. And I can help you with that. So step 2, now that we know what we have, let's talk about why we care. Why do we care? How long will we have it? Because one of the things we've run into as we call people on the phone is, I don't want to spend the next year teaching people how to use it and they take it away from me the next day. And I get that. You know, that was one of the questions I asked before I took this job. How long am I going to have this job? And then how will, so here's how I look at it. When I go to teach people, I look at it, how will these databases solve their problems? What problems do they have, and how can it solve them? So that's part of that too. So why do they care? Why do they care if they have these databases? One of the things that I like to show when I go to teach these is you can go to Google and you can ask Google, why I should just do it. I should model it. So if I go to Google and I do a search, I ask a question, because you know that's how you Google. It's like Alexa. Google, are dogs better than cats? So all of my choices are why dogs are better than cats. 13 reasons why dogs are better than cats. 11 reasons why dogs are better than cats. And then look at the, I'll make it a little bigger so you can see. Look at who's answering the question. Okay, get this in your head, right? Well, that's the first thing. Who are these people? But then now watch what happens. Are cats better than dogs? Why cats are better than dogs? 10 reasons why cats are better than dogs. Why cats are better than dogs. 20 ways cats are better than dogs. Hello? Sometimes it gives you what it thinks you want. And so that's why using these databases that are reliable, they're authenticated, they're trustworthy, they're constantly updated, their agenda is to give you information. Ellie?
Did you notice, by the way, I don't know if anybody else saw it, that Insider had answers on both of them?
Yes, yes. The same people, all the answers are coming from the exact same companies. Business Insider, the Spruce Pets, both of those were in the other search. So So that's part of your why. You know, it's like Neil Gaiman always says, the internet can give you, what does he say, 100,000 responses, but a librarian can give you the right one. It's the same kind of tool, but it's, we have to just remind them of that. We'll talk about that. So how long will they have it? I already told you that after 4 years, they'll look at it, they'll evaluate it, and in the 5th year, they'll renew the contracts. So that, oh, I don't want to learn it just to have it taken away. We'll have it at least that long. So that should give you a better idea of how to roll that out. And maybe not so much pressure to get it like yesterday. Baby steps, baby steps. I think the third part is one of the most important things, is how will it help them? How will it support them? It's got to solve their problem. It can't create one more. They have enough. We have enough. And so that's why the team that's bringing you these products has really worked hard under some extraordinary circumstances to try to make it easier for you, to create these buttons, to create tutorials, to be at all the conferences, to help you get the word out, to help make it easier. That's why when you go to Teaching Books and you share something with somebody, they don't have to even have a login. You could send it to your grandma in Florida, and they could get it. Because that's one of the most frustrating things about a database is the username password situation, right? And then the location. I was at a school meeting. I went, the principal asked me to come and talk to his teachers. So I can't tell you where it was because it's a bad librarian story. And there are some. But I got there, it was an after-school event. It was only going to be, it was an hour, which means I was going to let them go in 45 minutes so that they are happy. And it was hot. Oh my gosh, it was so hot. And they were so tired. And I come into the library, and the library tech left. She left. She didn't stay for the training. She didn't help me get set up. She left. And I know that probably her day was up. But I just thought, you missed an opportunity to be the superhero of your school. Stay and learn, stay and share. But she left. And so then her teachers come in. And so some of them were like you. Here, when I got here this morning, you got your notebook and you got your device and you're ready to go. And they were so excited, and they kind of sat on that side of the room. And then there was the rest of them, right? They come dragging in. They have nothing. No paper, no pencil, no device. And then they get to the table, and here they are. And I went, just you wait. Just you wait. And so the first thing I did was go into Teaching Books, and I said, suppose you're a content area teacher and you're thinking, what in the world, why am I at this thing? Could they possibly have anything for me? I said, so let's just pick a random subject area, like math. So I'm in Teaching Books and I'm doing a subject search for math. Wonder if they have anything about math in this literacy database. Oh, look at that. There's 1,341 books that have something to do with math. But, you know, that's extra work. I don't really use books in my math. But wonder if any of them have lesson plans. So I click, and now I find out that, oh, 621 of them have lesson plans. And then I watch the whole body language change. Because why? I gave them a reason to look in there. I gave them a solution to their problems. And so that's what you have to do with these databases, is you have to figure out what is their problem and how can this fix it. If it's Britannica and they're doing a research project and your books are not old enough to have correct information, or you don't have enough, Britannica can be that piece that plugs that content gap. And so that's where you have to go with it. Don't go in teaching them we have these databases and I want you to know it. You got to solve the problem. What's their problem and here's your solution. And you could do it like 4 ways to research faster. Come up with some clever kind of name. Anybody else already doing this? What are you doing to get them to listen? Or to tell them why they care? Anybody? What have you done to say why they should care?
I've been going to classes and teaching the students how to use the databases, and teachers are like, wow, and they'll, by the second time I'm in their class, or sometimes the first, they'll sit down and open their computer and walk through it with me, so I'm directing my message to the kids.
And that's so brilliant. That's so brilliant. Many of you, where's the elementary people? Raise your hand. Many of you are probably fixed classes back to back to back, and you don't have time to collaborate with your other teachers, the teachers in your building, because you're the reason why they can collaborate. And so right. And the same thing for you in the upper grades. And so you have to do that backdoor collaboration where if you know they're doing bats in the classroom, that's your lesson, that's your story time. And then the kids go, hey, you know what we did in the library today? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, or I was substituting at one of my schools in San Diego, and I thought this teacher was the bomb. I mean, I thought he was super teacher, and no, he's a good actor. Because he came to me and he said, I want you to pull all the books about the Native Americans because we're going to do a research project. This is middle school. Well, you know, I just didn't do it. Because first of all, there's not that many to pull. And secondly, that's not how we do research. I'm not going to pull books for you. You're in the middle school. Get them yourself. Fish for yourself. And so I said, I'm going to do a little mini lesson before we get to the books. You don't mind, do you? And so I jumped right into a destiny lesson and talked to the kids about search for your Indian tribe, and then here are the books, here are the websites, here are the databases, here's Safari Montage, and then I showed the kids how to do all those kind of things. Well, the whole time I'm doing that, the teacher is over here like this. He's so mad because I didn't pull the books. And so we finish, and I tell the kids, so now you know, here's a few books, but as you can see, there aren't that many whole books on your tribe, so you're going to have to use the Discover and find those pieces and parts. And so off I send them to the computers to look it up, and here comes the teacher to let me have it, and he's starting to go, didn't I tell you to? And the kids are going, I'll make up a name. Mr. Jones, come see what Miss Ford taught us how to do. And so he comes over, and the kid goes, watch this. And he types in his tribe, and he goes, look, there's only one book, but look at this. Click. Look at these websites, and they're my appropriate level. And click right here, and look, there's this book in Teaching Books, and there's this article in the World Book, and look, click. Here's a movie. And the teacher looked at me, and he went, oh. So you have to solve their problems, and the kids can be your champion because the kids will go back and they will tell their teachers, this is what I learned, and so that's making missionaries too. Who else is doing something that is solving their problems?
I have because I go to the 10th grade English meetings anyway, so I just tell them that all the 10th grade English classes are coming into the library and that we're going to use the databases, and the goal is for the students to get access to the databases, but we can make it work for your class. Whatever fits into your program of your current curriculum, we'll make it fit into that. And they're all fine with it.
Good. And so you targeted a grade level. And that might be what you do. I mean, back in the South when I was teaching back there and they didn't do flexible schedule, I started, and so the third grade didn't come to the library at all. So I started with one third grade teacher and said, bring your kids down here, I want to do a collaborative thing with them. And so word got out that I would help them with folktales, fairy tales, and fables. And so then I got the rest of the third grade. So sometimes it's that kind of thing. So what is their problem and how can you fix it?
I have a question.
Yes.
On teachingbooks.net, I tried showing somebody it, and they were, I'm at middle school.
Yes.
The range on the website says 4 to 8. And they said, well, that's not going to help me, because what if it's a 4th grade or a 5th grade book, and what if you don't have it here in the library? Or, you know, so
you're asking more than one. So you're saying on teaching books, when you go, you might see a book and it says it's recommended for grades 4 to 8. So,
or the lesson plans are 4 to 8.
right. And then how do I know if I have it in my library? You might not, because this is a comprehensive, teaching books is a comprehensive database. However, one of the things, and we're getting ready to talk about it, is that you can go from the other direction. You can start from, if you have Destiny, you can start from Destiny and get to teaching books. So yes, then you have the book. Or you can start actually in Tidal Wave and see Destiny, teaching books, and go from there to your teaching books also. Now the grade levels in teaching books, you'll see they go pre-K to 2, then 1 to 5, 4 to 8, there's a little overlap, and 7 to 12. That comes from the content department, and I inherited it, so I don't know what to tell you about that.
It's just a little startling, because some people are like, well, it's not going to apply to me, or half of it's not going to apply to me.
Well, sure it will. So one thing, all right, well, we'll just take a moment. So say I choose this book. And on the right-hand side, it tells me the number of words, so I can see how long the book is. It says it's 4 to 8. But I come down here and it tells me what the reading level is. So I can see it's a 3.3. And I just always caution you not to be putting children in a box with their grade level, because kids will read up. Kids can hear up, etc. So that will give you a little bit more content, but you can also whittle it down. All right, let's talk about the where, because this is really one of the most important things. If Nick was here, he would have started with this. Location, location, location. The harder the more they see it, and the more places it is, the more likely they are that they will use it. The easier it is to find, the more likely they are to use it. People use Google, why?
Easy.
You open one click and there it is. It's very accessible. So accessibility to these databases is critical. You can get it set up. You can tell them that it's the most wonderful thing to have access to these things, and it is. But if they don't know where it is, they're not going to use it. If it's hard to get to, they're not going to use it. Now, some of you have had databases for years, right? And how have you been managing that? How have you made sure people know where they are? Let's share. Karen?
I have my students 3 through 6 bookmark them.
So you have your kids individually bookmark their own devices. Ellie?
Yeah, we always brought, it's what we all know. You bring the one class with the teacher who's willing to get started, and then it moves out incredibly fast.
Yes. You make a missionary and let them spread the word.
Our IT guy put a permanent bookmark on everybody's account.
IT puts a permanent bookmark on everybody's account.
I have an icon for all of them on my webpage, my library page.
An icon on the library webpage.
We have like the district level where they're all listed.
Yes.
Under student resources or whatever. And then any other place that a student or parent or teacher might visit, we've linked back to that spot.
Excellent.
Databases.
So you have a main place of entry, but then everywhere else they might go, It's like in my house with my glasses now, right? There is a main place where the glasses should be, but now there is an extra pair in the kitchen, and there's one in the bathroom, and there's one in the reading chair. It's the same principle. If I go to a place and I don't have my glasses on, I can't read. It's the same thing. You want those things to be everywhere. So here's the good news. This is something that has been fairly recent. There's a new website called teachingbooks.net/California Code, C-A-Code, C-A-C-O-D-E. And when you go there is a template. It will set you up a page. So if you want to make a Google page, with these buttons on it, but everybody made buttons. So there's buttons for all the ProQuest products, for both the Britannica products, for the teaching books, and bits and pieces of the teaching books. Maybe diversity is the angle that you want to take your teachers with teaching books. Maybe instructional uses is the way that you want to go. But all that stuff is in there. So.
One other thing I did that I forgot about, because I was here, is I used to go to PTA meetings, and we always used to go at the beginning of the year and get people to sign up to volunteer. But then I started going, because that's the most attended one. Then once we got the databases, I went to PTA meetings and asked for like 5-10 minutes and had everything set up on the screen. And I showed them, I said, so when your kids come home and say they didn't have time to go to the library after school, they couldn't do their research, whatever, they go to work, they have sports or anything. I said, if you have an internet connection anywhere,
Right.
because you cannot always say from home, so many kids don't have it.
Right.
So I just learned to say, anywhere you can get to the internet, even on your phone. And we had them, like Nina, we had them on the library webpage also. I would just say, you can do this at night on the weekends from anywhere. If you go out of town. You can do
Right.
this.
And that's part of your presentation, which is the fourth step. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So let's look at this template. So in this template, all you have to do is copy the code from here, and you can make a page. And when you make the page, it will look like this, where it's starting from California Digital. It'll look just like that. And all of these are links. So you can click there and you go to elementary. And so your code guys, your IT guys, can cut and paste the pieces and parts of that and embed it anywhere they want to. So you can do it on your district website. You can put these buttons on other places that you have access to. So there are links to everything. And like Ellie was saying, wherever you have available internet, at school, at home, in the libraries, on laptops, on the phone, everywhere, all these buttons. And then you have a nice little description of what these things are. Like lots of times in high school, kids have to do a pro and con thing. So you have the SIRS Researcher, which will show you the plus and the minus, and the research and the data for that. You have eLibrary, which gives you periodicals and other digital content. So you have that. And then at Teaching Books, under Help and Support, there's Share and Promote. Well, you know what? The easiest way is to do this. teachingbooks.net/California Embed, E-M-B-E-D. And then you can put these individual buttons. If you just want one button to put somewhere, you can copy the code and put it in. You can add a widget of literacy or a literacy calendar. You can create a Symbaloo. Here's your Symbaloo gallery. Ooh, that's one of the things I said I was going to do. Somebody remind me later that I have homework, because I thought, why don't I make a Symbaloo with all these resources, and then you can just grab it if you use that. Why don't I just do that? It also can be integrated in your platforms. So if you have Destiny, who is Destiny? I just mentioned that. Most people do. And so in Destiny, you can add it to your databases for your OneSearch. So when you use Destiny Discover, it will come up. You can put it on the home page of your Destiny page. We can also put it in Clever. All these products can go in Clever and Schoology and Canvas. And we're continuing to work with other providers, other platforms to make it even more accessible. And so you can have one click, one sign on. And so getting that set up.
In the Schoology,
Yes?
IT can push that into all teacher Schoology accounts.
Yes. So her question was, if I have Schoology, their IT can push it into everybody's account, and yes, they can. We just need to, you just need to contact, I think it's info@teachingbooks.net, or just contact me, Deb@teachingbooks.net, and I'll get you to the person who can help you, the IT guys get all that set up. But then they'll have access to all 3 of the companies through that one door. And that's, again, that's...
Canvas can do that also?
Yes. All those management systems can be integrated. And so the more places you put it, just like you were saying, the more likely they are to use it. So let's talk about the how of it. And we've kind of mentioned some of this. Sometimes you might have 5 minutes. And so you just volunteer yourself 5 minutes at a PTA meeting, 5 minutes at a faculty meeting, pop around to a curriculum meeting, and just make sure that they know. I'm telling you, you can be the Oprah of the databases. All you have to do is tell people. So many people don't know because it happened right at the end of the school year, and then everybody got busy with trying to figure out how we were going to make this work, and then school started, and we were trying to do the Williams and all those kind of things, and so some people said, "Ooh, we'll handle this later," and so now it's later. So we got to get this moving on it. So best practice, of course, with any kind of teaching with a database is, like I said, go back to why they care, why it matters. Assure them that it's going to be here for a few years and solve their problem, whatever that problem is, and make it brief, make it entertaining, make it connect. So if you're doing teaching books, ask them, what's something that you're going to teach next month? And you look that up. What's a subject that you're going to do research on? And show them Britannica. Give them a piece and a part. Marketing is really important, and so the team has been trying to create lots of pieces for you to use. So there's webcasts, like I showed you on the State Library website, that you can just forward those on. There are newsletters. Everybody has a newsletter. And one of the things that I'm thinking about doing is doing it like a cut and paste kind of newsletter. And somebody, who does that? Elsa? She's already gone. But somebody was already doing kind of a cut and paste of this month you might use this resource, and then you just cut it out and you put it in your own newsletter. So I'm thinking about doing that kind of a thing. I had a focus group meeting last night, and so if you have ideas about how we can do these things, come see me or write to me and share your opinion, because we're all trying to figure this out, the best and easiest way that we can do it. But I think it's one of those silent resources. And until people get in the habit of it, they're going to go, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And so you have to do a little nudge, do a little nudge, do a little nudge, because they forget, they get busy, right? And so even you, I mean, I do it sometimes too, right?
I just said that to her.
Yeah. You know, I've been teaching about teaching books since it started in 2001. And until I went to work for them, there are all kinds of things that it does that I had no idea that it did that. Because we don't have time to really dig in there sometimes. But I also think it's important that you try and you make a presentation. And so one of the things that I'm doing, in addition to talking to the choir, is I'm going, as I always have, out beyond us. And so I put in for a presentation at the Social Studies Teachers Conference, and I was accepted. Teaching Books will be there, talking to them.
Yeah, they're going to be doing night, my teachers coming up like next month. So that's great for social studies.
Yes.
That's great.
I went to the reading, this was the best thing. I went to the Reading Teachers Conference, and I got hired after they had set their schedule, so they didn't have room for me to do a class. So I bought we got a table. And so I stood at the table, and every time somebody came, I said, come to my, I was like Keith. You know how Keith is with his covering books? I was just like that. Yeah. And so there people are coming by, and I had all the hot books out, and I said, and they came up to the table because they wanted to pet the books, right? Because they were books that I knew that they would love. And so they came, I didn't even have chocolate. They came up to pet the books, and I said, have you ever heard her speak? No, we don't get to have authors at our school. And I said, oh, yes, you do. And I would play for them the Meet the Author video or the audio piece or part or whatever. And then I would give them a pack of these cards, which I brought some for you also. And this is a package of 25 cards. It has one access point, which is teachingbooks.net/California. And they just go there and they're in. And then my name and my contact information is on the backside, so if they get stuck. But I would give them these, and people were literally jumping like I had just done an Oprah Carr thing. And it was so funny because I was in a really weird place in the exhibit hall. It was me and this woman with amazing clothes. I spent so much money. Right beside me all day, a table of jewelry, a lady with multicultural accessories over here. I mean, I was nowhere near book stuff. And so, but everybody was so excited they would leave. And finally, those exhibitors came over to me and they said, what are you doing over here? Because people are so excited when they leave your table. And I said, I'm the Oprah of the authors. I'm giving them a gift. Yeah, I didn't even have to buy chocolate. And so it's a gift that they love, but you have to go to where they are. Just like the databases have to be in places where they go, you have to go where they are. So I'm going to Q. Last week I talked to the Special Ed Teachers Association, and they want me to come speak to them and write for their journal. So that was the first thing I did when I got this job, was to look through and find all the associations and start getting myself out there. The Science Teachers Association, now I've spoken to them before about the notable social studies books. They rushed the stage when I was finished. It was scary. But they wanted to know, where can I get those books? I thought it was a trick question. In your library, I said. But they were so excited because they get in such a rut and hammered with testing, and you give them this gift and they can't wait to get back and use it. So you go where they go. If it's 5 minutes, it's 10 minutes. I carry these in my purse. So when I'm at a restaurant and I hear teachers talking, I do. I didn't do it the first time I heard that happen, and I went, I'm doing that the next time. And so I heard the teachers talking about wham, 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 and I went, sorry, I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I couldn't help but overhear that you're a teacher, and I want to give you a free gift from your state. And then I gave them this card, and they were like, seriously? And I said, seriously. And there's more, right? In door number 2, you have Britannica. And in door number 3, you have ProQuest. You have all those products, and my name is right there on the card. If you need help getting set up, there it is. So you just have to go where they are and do it over and over and over again so that they get the message of what it is and why they care and how they might use it. Now we're at a time where we could ask questions or concerns. Let's do concerns first so we end on a happy note, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. Karen?
I noticed that not all books have a synopsis, and I'm wondering if that's something that's ongoing.
Her question is, all books, teaching books,
yes.
Not all books have a synopsis. The answer to that is the synopsis comes from one particular source, and if they don't feature it and write the synopsis, then we don't have it. So it's kind of a hit or miss. Most of the books that are highly starred or gilded on the cover with medals, they will more likely have one. That's something that I would like to see more of. Another question.
Well, I was just thinking, like, I created a newsletter. I did a put it for Black History Month. And it's like, it's just trying to get people to read it. It's like, I'll send it out, but it's like, you just get so many clicks. And I know they get overwhelmed with emails and just, it's like, so one teacher said to me, she goes, Barbara, I just subscribe today that I'm gonna read, and the rest I just let go. And I'm like, so how do I get in that top 5 for her?
Print it
You know?
and post it in the bathroom stalls.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Bathroom stalls.
Bathroom stalls.
Print it
And put it in the bathroom
You
stall.
got a captive audience if you do that.
You do. I have always said that. Put it by the copy machine. Here's what one of the things I often do is, because in teaching books in particular, builds in stuff that makes them feel like they need to know what it is, because there are the QR codes. So you make a book list, or you have a resource, and you can create a QR code to go with it. So so give me a book.
Well, go with Night, Eli, with Weisel.
Oh yeah. So I search for night, and it's the first one that comes up. And then I have all these resources, and I can do a couple of things. I can just say, I want to share this page, the whole page, because the teacher is going to do the whole book. So I share this page, and when I do, I have a couple of options that just make it really hard not to see it. Because one is a bookmark, and so I can cut those out, and I can actually put them on the book if I wanted to. And then all they have to do is scan the QR code, and they have the book.
Wow.
They have, not the book, but they have the resources to teach the book. And they can be translated into multiple languages. So you could do that. I have too many windows open, I can't see what to close. And then, or you could do the flyer like I used this weekend. Instead of typing out a bunch of titles, I just put them all in a list and gave you a QR code. Now what I sometimes do is put these QR codes up and around, and people can't help it. They want to know, what is that? And so they'll scan and look at it. That's a quick thing. Or if you have somebody's cell phone, you can text it to them. They can upload it to their classroom. You can put it in Google Classroom. You can put it on your calendar. Using social media sometimes is another way to get it out instead of an email. But I think if you keep your emails brief, if you give them too much stuff, it just, oh, it's too much, I'll read it later. So I would do more, but less content, you know? Encyclopedia Britannica does a really good job on social media with like facts. And they'll just do a random fact. Like some of you still look at me and you think, oh, right, wombats poop square, because I told you that years ago. They're doing the same kind of thing. They'll say wombats poop square, and here's the link. So it drives them to read more. So you give them a question, or you ask them, why did, do you know why R.J. Palacio wrote Wonder? Find out here. People want to click, they want to know. So giving them those kind of bits and pieces is another way to get them to actually look. And it's like, we had an opening a month or so ago for a position kind of like mine, but without all the travel. And a lady who's an IT person, she's not even a teacher or a librarian or anything, but she found the job description and she asked me, could she talk to me about this job? And I said, sure. And so we talked on the phone, and somehow in the conversation it came out that we don't have any salespeople. Did you know that? There are no salespeople for teaching books.
Do you need them?
And this is the answer to that question. Missy said, do we need them? This woman said to me, she's not a teacher, she's a parent, she's a reader, which is why she was interested in this job. But because in Wisconsin, where she lives, there's BadgerLink, and every person in the state has access to them. So she said, I went on to teaching books on BadgerLink, and she said, I was on there 3 minutes, and I thought, why wouldn't everybody use this? So sometimes it's just getting them to the water for a reason that they need, and then just that gentle reminder, like we said. Anybody else got ideas, tips, tricks, something that works for you, questions?
Our elementary, and I think everybody's elementary ELA math curriculum comes with recommended trade books, right? Like, here's the books you should read while you're teaching this unit, and And so we're in the process of going through and we crosswalked and just linked the videos. If you have this book and you're using it in class, here's the video. If you have this book, here's just the videos. And we sent it all out and everybody went, this is really overwhelming. So this year, we're doing it in the fall. We're going, hey, Unit 2 is coming up. Here's a video. And just doing that. And emailing one teacher is, they're going to read that email versus all staff.
Oh, you're right. That's a very good point. And let me tag on to your core list thing, because you can do the same thing that I've been doing, is you can create your own list and then you can send that list out. You know, if you've got books in your book room that are growing dust and mold, if they're mold, you know what I say, right? But it's just dust, they just need a new agent or something. They need a new marketing program. So you could make a list and then put that QR code on them, send that list out. You can do your core list. One of the first tasks I had to do was a school district said, these are the books we use in the 8th grade, can you make me a list? And so I did. Boom. I was at Norris School District, and everybody brought a book to talk about. And so while they were talking about why they liked this book and what it was, I'm sitting there on teaching books making a list. And when the meeting was over, I could email it to everybody that was in that room. Or give them a QR code and they could scan it on the thing. So it's all about making it simple, making it relevant, making it solve their problems and not add problems.
Can you make a QR code for a list?
Yes. Yes. You can make a QR code for a list or for an individual item. If you just want them to have the Meet the Author book reading, then you can just share that one piece. Anytime you're on a page, you can just share it out. So we're drawing to a close in our time today. Know that the team of providers is working hard to help get the word out, because we want this to be successful for you. We want you to seem like the superstars in your school. And if we can do anything to help you do that, let us know. Our media is always open to you. And thanks once again for coming so early in the morning.
That we have, and that we were talking about how long, because everybody was asking how long it is to that meeting. The whole thing that is going to be one of the most persuasive things, other than, of course, as Delane said, bring into your school all the decision makers and let them see the kids and what they're doing. But the usage is going to be huge. So the more we can use these databases and show our statistics for the people who are the numbers people making these decisions, the more powerful it will be when the funding has to be used.
Amen. The people said, amen.